as parents, we have to do that. We have to make them understand, we came from, like I said, I bring it up, we're first generation. We understood what it meant to struggle, and it only gave us a greater appreciation. And we have to pass that down to our children.
Yeah,
Have to.
it's our obligation, right? It's the same thing as our faith. We have to make sure that we give them the faith that we grew up with, also, and also
Mhm.
walk with them in faith. And I think that balance there is as delicate as it is. It has to be walked.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of A Black Belt Way of Life. I'm your host, Master Joseph Lupo Jr. On today's episode, I am joined by my teammate, my dear friend, my Taekwondo brother, joining us from Houston, Texas, Master Vincent Nguyen.
Thank
How
you
we
so
doing,
much.
sir?
I'm blessed and honored to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
The honor's all mine, sir. Tonight's episode, everyone, is dedicated to the U.S. Masters Cup, taking place January 17th to the 18th in Houston, Texas. This year's event is bigger than our last two. We have countries confirmed from Korea, Spain, Sweden, Canada, the United Kingdom, and Netherlands. It's going to be an amazing event. Make sure you get the info at usmastersteam.org. Click on the events tab and check it out. Again, January 17th to 18th, I'm going to come out and I'm going to say it right now. The best Masters event in the world, not the United States, in the world. Also, our sponsor for this episode is also a sponsor for the U.S. Masters Cup, Whispers of Wisdom, written by Master Anthony Graff. Get your copy today on Amazon. As a school owner, as a parent, this is a must-need, must-read. Again, Whispers of Wisdom by Master Anthony Graff. My man, Vincent, how we feeling
I,
tonight, my brother?
we're feeling 100%. We're excited. The Lord's been very grateful, and we're just living off the fruits. I love it.
Oh, I love it. I love it. We're going to keep that positivity flowing all episode long, but I want to start off the episode. I want to take it back to
Yeah.
2019. We were in Italy for the European Masters Games. And what I really want to bring up is a moment, a special moment. And it was your fight. You had won bronze the day prior in Pumse.
Right.
And
Right.
now
Right.
your fight, to me, it was the most significant. If we were to talk history of the U.S. Masters team, that, for me, is at the top of the mountain.
Oh
You,
gosh.
for
You're too
me,
kind.
it's at the top. Your fight against Italy, you were winning the match, and you threw a beautiful cut leg spin hook kick counter. But then something happened after that.
Yeah, it's just
Talk us through
one of
that.
those. Yeah, it's just one of those freak accidents, right?
Yeah.
You're thinking, you're still kind of fighting your prime, like you're 17, 18. And I felt great going into the match, right? We were definitely leading. We were doing great. We were steady. Cardio was running at about maybe 95%, right?
All
Because
right.
we maybe had thrown maybe about 20, 30 kicks at the time.
Yeah.
But right when I did that cut backswing, I landed
Mm-hmm.
wrong, right? So I landed
Mm-hmm.
one leg, and then my arm went down.
Yep. You
And as
posted.
my arm went down, right?
Yeah.
And we know how to fall.
Sure.
Let's be honest, right? We know how to fall. But what was happening was the weight shifted just a little bit to where my hand locked into the mat, right? The
Yep.
mat was a little bit thicker than normal, so it really absorbed that shock. Plus, we're a little
Mm-hmm.
bit heavier, right? So it catches a little bit, but
Yeah.
I wasn't able to swivel that hand and roll into it. So right there, right at the elbow,
Pop.
the radial ulnar totally dislocated, and arm went kind of backwards, just a
Yeah.
tad. So yeah. So
But
as I
the
landed,
most you landed wrong, but then the most beautiful thing happened afterwards. And this is a learning lesson for everyone. you didn't stop fighting.
Yeah, I had to. I had to keep going, right?
Yeah.
It was first match. I was able to reduce the the hyperextension and the dislocation. Luckily, it was all congruent, but at the time I did not know that. But I
Yeah.
was able to bend it, so which was a good sign. So I had what 10 more seconds for that first round and went back
Yeah.
in and Master Dong Sup Lee, our team coach,
Yeah.
kind of gave me some encouraging words to say it's uh it's time to get hungry.
That's it.
So we went out there and we did our best. We fought the next two rounds and I think we only lost by about a point. So but
Yeah.
again, it was rough. Would I do it again just like that? I would have to. I had
Yeah.
the whole team right behind me,
Exactly.
and I knew that there was a lot of people rooting on, rooting me on. So
Of
I
course.
was really, it was hard. I can tell you, it was mentally hard. I did tell you I did wanted to give up, but something deep down just kind of pulled me back up and told me to pull my boots up with the straps and get back in that ring. So so I did. So glory be to God.
100%. And me witnessing that, that was beyond inspirational for me. And like I said, I feel that moment, of not quitting, not giving up, really, really set the tone for what is the USA Masters team, because at the end of the day, we are older athletes that, we don't recover the way, we used to when we were young, and it
Yeah.
really, really takes all those tenets of taekwondo that we've grown up learning, the perseverance, we really have to push forward, no excuses, because you set the example for us, and like I said, that moment to me set the tone of where the USA Masters team is now. So,
Yeah. Thank you
I
so much.
thank you.
You're very
I
kind.
thank you for that. No, no, it was, we have to give credit where credit is due, and that was all you're doing. Like I said, for me, that's at the top. And that's something I still teach to my students today. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to break their arm and make them take class. But we teach them. We don't give up. We don't quit.
Yeah, I will tell you when there was a moment that when I was laying on that mat looking up and you guys were on that catwalk up there, there was this shiver that kind of came down my spine. Not
Hmm.
because of the pain, but it was almost like as if um, I was given something, and I think it was really the spirit that you guys have really brought when you saw me down, and all of you guys looking at me as if like you can do it. I mean, that literally was the energy in the that moment in time that I said, this is you got to pull it together. This is it. This is fight. This is a time to where you're representing not only yourself but the United States of America. The
100%.
level of perseverance was it had to be present, and
Yep.
thank goodness the Lord gave me the energy and the wisdom and the strength to kind of get back on my feet. So yeah, totally blessed, and thank you for being so kind.
No, no, and we're gonna get back. We're gonna get back to the U.S. Masters team, the U.S. Masters Cup, which is a big part of this episode. But a lot of what you're talking about, obviously, was you were born into, having this kind of fighting spirit, and I want to start off. One big thing me and you have in common is that we are first generation in that sense. Our families came here with that dollar and a dream mentality. Talk to me about your family. Talk to me about, you know, how the hardships of coming into a country, again, a dollar and a dream, and how that shaped you. Oh,
You know,
but before we go into that, I wait,
mhm.
wait, I'm gonna cut you off. I saw a cup of coffee in your hand. My brother, salute.
Salute.
There we go. All right,
Thank
now we're
you.
ready to go.
So
We
I tell
needed
you
that.
what, we're we're Vietnamese Americans. My parents fled Vietnam in the fall of Saigon in
Oh wow.
'75. My dad was in the Navy, so but unfortunately everything was just really shut down. My parents were able to get on a boat, go to Hong Kong, where they were on a boat. I mean, you can only imagine. And that's a
Wow.
story that I would love for them to tell, and maybe for me to tell one day, and to kind of share a little bit more. But it was days before they actually reached Hong Kong, and
Wow.
we were on. So they were taken in by a refugee camp in Hong Kong,
And
and
now
at
you
that
were
time,
born
Hong
already?
Kong.
How old were you at this
No,
time?
not yet. I
Not
wasn't
yet.
even born yet.
You
Right?
weren't even
Yeah, I
born
wasn't
yet.
even born
Okay.
yet. They landed in Hong Kong at that refugee camp, and at the time, Hong Kong belonged to Great Britain, so keep that in mind, okay? And 2 years of them being there, I was born. Right? They were trying to kind of get on their feet and so forth. I was born, and then I was there for like about 3 months, and next thing you know, my dad's naval captain actually sponsored my family from Hong Kong because he lived in Florida at
Oh
the time.
wow.
So we moved to Florida. So
Oh
my dad,
wow.
my mother and father didn't even know that they were being sponsored and who was sponsoring them. All they knew is, hey,
Oh
you
my
got a
God.
ticket, you're flying to America, Tallahassee, Florida. Here you go. They land, they get to the airport. Back in the days, you can just walk anywhere. You could walk to the
Yes,
gate, the
yes.
terminal.
Of
Everyone had
course.
freedom of everything, right? The good old
Yeah.
days. And then next thing you know, my dad said, "Hey, what are you doing here?" It was my naval captain. He was like, "I'm here to pick you up, you idiot. I'm the one that
Wow.
sponsored you." He was like,
Oh my
"Oh, I didn't
goodness.
know." So next thing you know, my dad stayed with them for about maybe 2 or 3 months,
Okay.
and then next thing back at the time, you would think that words wouldn't travel as fast, but it did. But they said, "Hey, look, there was a huge Vietnamese population or community in Houston, Texas. I want to go. Can you help me?" And my dad told me this. He was like, "Yes, take my keys, take the car, take it to Houston."
Oh
So
wow.
we've been in Houston. We stepped
It's,
foot
it's
in
that it's that
on.
classic birds of a feather flock together.
Oh, it's amazing. We stepped foot
Yeah.
on American soil, Thanksgiving 1977. So in the next 2 days, we're going to be having a really exciting time and celebrate the 50 years of being here in America. So
Oh wow. That is monumental.
yeah.
But probably those early days, I'm sure it was rough. I'm sure it was tough, building a future back then.
It was tough because when my dad came, he only literally had only 20 US dollars at the
Wow.
time in his pocket. And even when he left, he only had, I think he was given money by his naval captain, about $50 to make it all the way to Houston. Now, keep in mind, gas was only what, 60 cents at the time.
Oh my
Um,
goodness.
but he got a blue collar work. He was electrician journeyman. He was a diesel technician. So he did all that, and next thing you know, he has two kids, and
Wow.
now my parents are living with me, and we
Yeah.
live together in this amazing home that we were able to build, and
The
you know,
compound.
and,
I
and
call
that's
I
just
call it the
and that's
compound.
yeah, it's a compound, yeah, no doubt about it. Sister lives right next door, but
Right.
again, family is definitely the foundation of many things. Of course, our Lord and Savior first, and then family, right? And
Yes.
honestly, I don't know if I could really have succeeded or gotten as far as I have gotten if it wasn't for my family.
Sure. But that must have shaped you, seeing, I'm sure your father barely spoke English, but he's getting it done, rolling up the
Yeah,
sleeves, getting it done, blood, sweat, and tears,
yeah,
building a family. And that had to leave an impression on you as a
oh
youngster.
man, there's no doubt about it. I think one of the things he's shared with me, if I can translate it to English, he said something like this: if you want to buy things without looking at the price tag, you got to work without looking at the clock.
Right, right,
Because,
right. That is so
and
true.
then that kind of transcended into something else where I've always preached to my students where you can't have $1 million dream, you have food stamp work ethics.
Yep.
All of that has to kind of tie together. And that's something that I've watched my dad growing up, that he was always grinding. He would come home at 10 o'clock p.m. We would sit down, he would eat dinner, and we would watch wrestling together. I remember that, like it was yesterday, right? And that's that time that I remember and I cherish dearly with my heart. That will always live with me. So
Sure. I mean, there's so many values being taught, and just what you said, not just working hard, but sacrifice for your family, sacrifice for your craft. I mean, you said 100% right. My father always used to say, we roll up our sleeves and we get going. That's it. Exactly what you said. Whether it's an 8-hour day, a 10-hour day, 12-hour day, it doesn't matter. There is no clock. You're 100% right. And that
Yeah,
that shapes us. That builds that work ethic that we carry on and we want to pass along to future generations,
yeah, yeah, definitely. And it's always a delicate balance, right? Because
right?
if you're saying yes to a bunch of things, you're also saying no to a lot of other things. So
100%.
that balance has to happen, right?
Mhm.
And when we talk about that black belt way of life, we
Yes.
always talk about, oh, we've seen the T-shirt, black belt is a white belt that never gives up.
Right,
Let's take it
right,
another
right.
step further, right? Let's talk
Exactly.
about winning and losing, right? A winner is a loser that just gave it one more chance. You know what I'm
One
saying?
more. One more.
One more try.
Right,
A
right.
winner is a loser that gave it one more shot.
Just one.
That's what's up right there.
Yeah.
So I mean, if we're able to kind of balance all of that in life
Mhm.
and actually share and pay forward the things that we've learned to our friends and our family that are extended, like, can you imagine the village that we could totally create as we kind of move up and move towards life as we get older? It's tremendous.
Yeah, and that's why that's the main message of this podcast is spreading that positivity, is showing people that black belt way of life. Whether we're talking about martial arts or we're not even talking about martial arts, this is a way of life, and it's gonna obviously transcend future generations. That's really, really what we're building. Again, keeping it positive, keeping it real, and it's not easy. It's not easy, but hey, like your father did when he came to this country. It was a dollar and a dream.
Yeah,
That $20 in his pocket went a very, very long way, built a family, built a future, not
yeah.
only for, your parents, but for your family, your sister's family, for everyone. Really,
Yeah.
really set the tone.
Because even when I think, some of the traditions as you open up a new business, like you made your first dollar and you kind of
Right.
frame that first dollar.
Yeah. I
If,
still got
if I
mine.
can, if I can only just wish that I had that initial $20 that my dad was going to use,
Yeah.
like this was the beginning,
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm getting just chill bumps just thinking about it. But like,
Right.
if I was able to just frame that, right?
Yeah.
Oh, so yeah, um, life, a lot of twists and turns. But boy, I tell you what, boy, when we are able to stop and smell the roses, it makes
Yeah.
that journey so much more
Oh,
lovable and enjoyable.
those roses smell good. Those are special roses. Some that unfortunately some people don't understand. And that's why I said, that's one thing that me and you share in common. We come from, those parents, dollar and a dream mentality that, came from the other side, no excuses. Language was not an excuse. They made it work,
Yeah.
and that definitely shaped us. So now let's talk about that initial journey into the martial arts, because you sure as hell didn't become a professional wrestler, brother.
No, not at all. I think every time I tell people this on how late I really started in Taekwondo, it amazes a lot of people. So I actually started in the summer of 1991. So I was actually
Oh,
13 years old at the time.
right, right, right. Wow.
Um, and uh, and I made my first U.S. junior team in 1994. So 3 years later, I
Just
made
3 years
just
after.
3 years after. Actually, exactly 3 years after the day I started Taekwondo, which was July 1st, and then I made my first junior team July 3rd of 1994. So it was pretty wild. But
Oh my goodness.
yeah, so it was one of those
That
things
that
where I had a very late start, but my dad always worked with me when I was a young child. My dad was actually
okay.
in Taekwondo during the Navy when the Koreans came in to help the Republic Vietnamese in order to fight the VCs, the Viet Congs, against the communists. And so he had a lot of training there and was able to kind of share that with me as I was growing up. But it was only like one of those things where once or twice a week, right? But then at the time, I was already getting older. My dad's like, "Hey, let's go ahead and find you a place." And next thing you know, he enrolls me at Grandmaster Jinwan Kim's
Okay.
Taekwondo in Houston, where I was there with Simona Haradil, which you guys know as
Yes.
FXP athlete. I was there with Kay
Yes.
Po, Esther
Oh
Kim.
wow.
So we had a pretty strong team back there. Obviously with my sister too, Maria, who
Yes.
also made team. So and fought in the U.S. Olympic Festival, which I hate that that's gone still, by the way.
Right. 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 Right.
But again, yeah, that's kind of all started in a very abridged version.
Wow. So that because it is considered a late start, and it's phenomenal that you were able to accomplish that in just 3 years of training. But at the same time, that for the audience that doesn't know, you just named national champions, national team members, Olympian. You named quite an amazing group of athletes. So obviously, you're in that realm. You're with those athletes.
Yeah,
In all
exactly.
honesty, there's only one direction you could go.
I mean, we were just so blessed to have so many phenomenal mentalities there, right? Because
Hmm.
even when I was about to leave to go to college, my senior year, Nia Abdallah actually enrolled at our Taekwondo school. And so
Wow,
she
another
was,
Olympian.
yeah, a silver medalist off that, and
Hmm. Hmm.
she was there for, I was there for another a year and a half or two. But yeah, I mean, it was such a like Texas was just kind of a mecca for Taekwondo for a long time.
Yes.
And but again, I just love the fact that when I look at a national team now, there was a member from every state on that team somewhere, and it's beautiful. That's what
Yes.
Taekwondo is all about. And I'm just very blessed to have Taekwondo in my life.
We're talking about your Taekwondo career, and now you brought up, now you're going towards college, and obviously now is start of adulthood, start of life.
Yeah,
Again, you brought up an interesting word earlier. You brought up the key word of balance,
yeah.
which is something. Again, we're gonna revisit that word a lot. Now, I threw you a beautiful compliment in the beginning of this podcast, but now I'm gonna throw you an even bigger one. Because when we talk about family, my man, you are the ultimate family man. And balance is, I want you to tell this audience, it blows my mind just to even think about this because I got two kids. And you know what?
Beautiful kids, beautiful kids.
I love them. I love them and they love you, man. But let me tell you, I I look at my wife crooked and she sends me to the couch. That's it. We're done. The shop is closed. My man Vincent, talk to us, and I'd be remiss not to mention, your beautiful wife, because it's a team at the end of the day.
It is.
And tell this audience how many children you have,
Yeah,
Vince.
so we have five and we have one on the way, right? So
One on the way.
yeah,
God
so
bless.
again, this is a blessing, right? I mean, we've always
Yes,
wanted to have a
100%.
large family.
Mm-hmm.
Always. We talked about having four initially, right? But the fifth one was a nice little, body check, if I may
There
say,
you go.
right? So we're like, oh, okay, let's go ahead and recenter what we need to do, right? And
Right.
2 years go by, and next thing you know, a nice little body and a hip check, and so we have the
Right.
sixth one on the way, and it'll be here in March, and we couldn't be
God
more
bless.
ecstatic. Uh,
God bless.
but
God
but when
bless.
you talk about balance, it has to be on point. I mean, from the conversations, the life coaching, making sure that we're financially stable, um, in order to ensure that everyone gets what, they need. And I'm always reminded by this, believe it or not. We've always said as a young child, right, Lupo? We said, man, one day, man, when I get kids, I'm gonna give them everything that I never got, right? But what I
Right.
found out,
Right.
even after my second child, I was like, you know what? We could do better. Like we can still give our kids what we didn't have as a child, but we have to not forget to give our kids what we did get.
Yes.
right?
100%.
Like we
That is something I have spoken to my wife about many, many, many times.
like they have to know
It's
what struggling is.
one.
They
You
need to
just
know
took the
what
words out of my mouth.
adversity, how to overcome adversity, because nothing's worse than to clear the road for them everywhere they go. But when there's a tree in the road,
Right?
what ends up happening? They look back at mom and dad and say, "Hey, mama, can you get this for me?" Like there's no way.
No.
Like we have to prepare them. And so, I have to be reminded by giving them what we did have, and for them to struggle a little bit. And sometimes that tough love has to go a little
Oh,
bit
for
longer
sure.
than we
No.
think. But
No,
yes,
as parents, we have to do that. We have to make them understand, we came from, like I said, I bring it up, we're first generation. We understood what it meant to struggle. We not only heard about the stories, we lived the stories. And it only gave us a greater appreciation. And we have to pass that down to our children.
yeah,
Have to,
it's our obligation, right?
right?
It's the same thing as our faith. We have to make sure that we give them the faith that we grew up with also, and also
Hmm.
walk with them in faith. And I think that balance there is as delicate as it is. It has to be walked and combed through with that fine tooth comb, because you can't miss any of these pieces, because
Right?
and sometimes we do fall short, but that's when we actually are involved in that village, right? You're a part of my village,
Right?
right? I know
Yeah.
you're going to check my kids if they get out of line. It is expected that you're going to check my kids if they get
For
out of
sure.
line, right? And
That's what family does.
that's the village that I'm so blessed to be a part of. And
Yeah.
but that balance in the six kids, it's very important, right? Because a lot
Right.
of people really think I own a Taekwondo school, and rightfully so, because I'm involved with so much things within Taekwondo. But as I work my day job, my 8 to 5, right, I'm coming straight home and I eat a little bit of dinner, and I'm taking my whole family to Taekwondo, right? And then right now my wife just received her black belt this past November,
Oh,
so we are
congratulations,
so
ma'am.
pumped up. So now, you can't see all my walls, but I have 12 kooky wands hanging up on my walls, left and right, right? So it's amazing. Yeah, and they're not all mine, right? This is my oldest. I have a 19-year-old,
Hmm.
I have a 16-year-old, 13-year-old, got a 7-year-old, I got a 2-year-old, and now we got
Wow.
one coming in.
You
So
got a
almost a black
newborn
belt
on
family.
the way.
But again, I'm
Right.
I'm working from 7 a.m. all the way until about 9:30 p.m. So that balance in between to ensure that we get the bills paid. They're getting their homework done. They're getting all their extracurricular in also throughout the day. I mean, it's definitely a balance. But again, my village here has really made it easy for me. So definitely a blessing.
Wow. Wow. Well, you know, uh, again, I'm thinking about myself with two kids. I'm like, now I'm listening to you. I'm like, ah,
Yeah,
I gotta get my, I gotta get my ducks in a row. If you could do it, anyone could do it, man.
no doubt about
That's
it. It can
inspiration.
be done for
Again,
sure.
another gem of inspiration from Master Vincent Nguyen. Wow,
Yeah.
that is amazing. Balance is so key. Now this balance that you bring up. Now we are going to bring it into the Taekwondo. We are going to bring it into what it means to compete as a master, whether we call it masters, we call it veterans, we call it ultra, whatever that term is. For the most part, we all have families. We all have, whether we own our own dojang or we are a professional in our own business or we work for someone. We have to be able to balance. And I feel in order to balance, you also have to find time for what you love. And that's where the competition aspect comes in.
Yeah.
And this is something, of course, through our amazing team captain, Trinity Tong Osborne, this is something that we all as a team, especially us, because Miss Trinity gave us that name, the Pioneer 17.
Yeah.
We in Italy, we set the groundwork for the future of the US Masters team. Now, talk to me a little bit how, as an athlete, as a master's athlete, we have to find that balance to do what we love, to step out there and not just represent ourselves, but also our families and our communities
Yeah.
and get out there as an athlete.
We all have different definitions of balance, right? But what ends up creeping in, and this is where the devil likes to play jokes on us, right? Uh,
Right.
because uh, the devil will seep in and say, you know what? No, you don't want to do that. Let's make an excuse, right? Let's make an excuse. You're too tired today, Vincent. You're too tired to go work out today. But you know what? It's hard. It's hard to go ahead and stop what you're doing or add something else that, you know, that's going to kind of take up some more time. But that level of investment needs to happen, right? But you have to choose your hard, because yes, it is hard. It's hard to wake up at 5 in the morning and go work out. It's hard to wake up and throw 300 kicks before you put your clothes on to go to work. But you know what? It's also hard being fat. It's also hard,
Right.
you know, bending over, tying your shoes while your gut is in the way.
Yep.
It's hard to walk up 5 flights of steps because you're fat, right? Like we just got to choose your
Yep.
hard. It's going to be hard either way, but just choose your hard. So I think,
Right.
and the U.S. Masters team has a motto that we all live by, right? And it is never too late.
Never too late.
Because it's beyond just the words that we just said. It is never too late to start Taekwondo. It's never too
Right.
late to go ahead and go for that black belt. It's never too late that I've always did Taekwondo, but I've never competed. It's never too late to step into that ring. This is a no ego type of organization that inspires and invigorates that animal within of
Yep.
every person because there's an animal in everybody. We just got to find the right key in the combination to get that out of you. And if the U.S. Masters team is part of that solution, let this be it. This is what it's all
Oh
about.
yeah.
And if they can just just say that it's not too late in the mirror as they look at themselves. It's not too late. It's more than
Mhm.
just taekwondo. It's really about life. It's never too late. Like I think it's a boss move that someone gets married for the first time at the age of 45.
Right.
I think it's a boss move to buy your first house at the age of 50,
Right.
right? It is a boss move. But you know what? It's never too late, and that's the key.
It's never too late.
If you can just surround yourself with the village that we were just talking about, I'm telling you, they're going to make sure that it's not going to be too late. We're going to pass through
Right.
that finish line together. And I always share this, and I said this not too long ago. It's like that bag of popcorn. Have you ever popped a bag of popcorn? You pop it in the microwave? Like
Yeah.
does it ever just you press the start button, does it ever just go boom and all those kernels just pop at the same time? No, it
Never.
doesn't, right? It's 2.5 minutes. You hear that first couple of pops, and then there's a big pop in the middle somewhere, right? But
Right.
then even after the microwave finish and it goes beep, 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 right when you open it, you still hear a few more pops, right?
Exactly.
You know what? This day and age, your time will pop soon. You just got to keep grinding. That's what it's all about. And
Yeah.
that's that never too late type of attitude. It's never too late. And if they haven't seen it on social media yet, this is probably the prime opportunity for them now, because we actually have a promotion for the U.S. Masters Cup pretty soon, and we can probably share that a little bit later on. But again,
Oh, for sure.
we want people to know how inspiring the people are that leads this organization as well
Yeah.
as participates in this organization. So yeah, that's kind of where we are.
So everything that you're describing, this transcends sports. This transcend, it transcends the sport of Taekwondo or any sport because the US Masters team is a multi-sport. This is a lifestyle. I tell people all the time, if it wasn't for the USA Masters team, I wouldn't be in the shape I'm in today. I wouldn't be, for lack of a model of fitness when people walk into my school. I tell everyone, and I had this conversation with Tony Graff just recently. You know, my mom, who owns the restaurant next door that you've eaten at, my mom always says, "You eat first with your eyes and then your mouth." That the plate of food has to look good before you start eating it. So when people walk into my dojang, they got to see, wow, I want to be in shape like that guy. And I owe a lot of that to the Masters team because it gave me a goal, whether it was a competition or a seminar that's hosted or whatever the situation is. I want to look good in that team picture.
Yeah, you you
I
you and you and Tony Graff are the perfect depiction of what a master should be looking like, right? Bald, handsome cut.
Oh man.
I mean, it is the standard of
Oh
a
wow.
Taekwondo ownership, right? And with you two right there, I mean, hats off. Definitely a goal of mine to kind of get back into that kind of shape. So
Well, I just want your hairline, bro, but that's a story for another day.
I'll plant some in. How about that?
There you go. There you go. Make it work. Um, but no, it is so important, how something like an organization like the US Masters team, it's a lifestyle. It's a healthy lifestyle. It's a good lifestyle. And then you brought up something very important. And this is something, like I said, that the foundation and the groundwork was laid down in 2019. Something that I feel in the younger division, so to say, of Taekwondo is missing camaraderie.
Yeah.
There is a sense of camaraderie at not only being on the team, but also at the US Masters Cup. Enlighten this audience about the type of camaraderie that is at this
Yeah,
level.
so the U.S. Master Cup is an event like no other, and I think any organization or any tournament can say the same thing, right? But I think what's important is that even the tag team Taekwondo competition that we actually have towards the end of it, right? You can
Oh yeah.
see the countries banding together. Of course, at that time, there's little alliances. Oh, we're gonna go on the European side, or oh, we're gonna go on this side, right? But even at the end of it, do you see the embrace after the event, whether who won or lost, right? The level of embrace at the end of it is exactly what the world needs to see, what they need to
Oh, for
experience,
sure.
right? But it really goes beyond that because in the evening, not it's just like at other tournaments, everyone kind of goes off and do their own thing, right? There's
Yep.
actually a reception,
Oh
a
yeah.
party, if I may say, where all the athletes get together, right? And it's more than just a gala, right? It's not just like, of course we have some silent auction items, live auction items that were given
Hmm.
away, and raffle tickets, to kind of raise money because it is a non-profit 501c3, right? It's
Yes.
definitely a sustainable type of organization, and we also need donations, by the way. But
Oh yeah.
that level of camaraderie at the end, who would have ever thunk? I mean, I've participated in plenty of international opens outside the United States and within the United States, right? U.S. Opens and so forth. But to really sit down with people from Korea, the Netherlands, Mexico, Spain, Canada, Sweden, all these folks that will be there assembled in one location in Houston, Texas, to just talk about their lives and how deeply we are similar in almost every aspects of our life. Like
Hmm.
that event, when we initially had it, was only going to be two events. Why did it last 5 hours? Right? It was worth
Right.
the investment on the U.S. Masters team side to go ahead and extend that for another 3 hours just so we can have these conversations. And for us
Oh
to
yeah.
be able to be like the largest ultra masters event in the United States now, and I think you said it better, right? In the world, it is a feat, right? It was hard, but 4 years later, 5 years later, here we are, an organization that is thriving, that is growing, and we're touching lives all across the globe. So, I mean, what more can you say? That level of camaraderie is bar none at this point.
Oh yeah. I mean, you brought up that tag team event, that team event,
Yeah.
and I had my New York team there, and I remember at that reception we had just lost in the last second We ended up on a highlight reel, but it's all good. Exactly. And but the beautiful thing about that was I took a step back because I was coaching the team, and I saw the guys I just coached sitting down having a drink with the Korean team, hugging,
Yeah.
taking
Yeah.
pictures. This is something that I feel is lacking in sports, because at the end of the day, it's just a sport. I bring it up to, we just competed in Mexico. I beat my opponents, and we're taking pictures afterwards.
Hmm.
I'm taking pictures with their
That's right.
children. This is something that, again, us as a master's community, again, we're always teachers first. This is something I feel that we could teach the younger generations, and this will only grow the sport as a whole.
Yeah. I mean, this is the way of life that we're talking about right now, right?
Yes.
Because why live our lives in a divisive universe at this point? There's so much more fun to be had if we can all just really, number one, pray together, love each other, and then fight the same fight. I
Right?
mean, we have to be united in one way, form, or fashion. And if this is it, let this be the first thing. So we can actually give an example or provide an example to others on how to be civil, how to be collegial, and how to be
Mm-hmm.
loving towards one another, because God is love.
Right. So again, let's dive deeper into the US Masters Cup.
Yeah.
For let's say for that first time competitor,
Hmm.
whether it's in sport pumse or whether it's in, sparring, because it's not easy for an older person, because like you said, you brought up, you know, especially in the combat, in the sparring aspect,
Yeah.
there is that fear, but
It's definitely a healthy
I
fear.
it
It's a
is. It
healthy
is.
fear.
I bring up one of my athletes who is going to be competing in his third Masters Cup, James Orsino.
Mm.
His first ever event, ever Taekwondo competition, was the inaugural Masters
Oh
Cup.
goodness.
And let me tell you, and this is another thing that really, the ultra masters athletes should embrace. He had 3 matches that day.
That's not
It
easy,
it's it, it's not easy
especially
for
being the
some of us.
first event that he's ever attended.
First
Yeah.
event, and he just turned 51. He's turning 51 the weekend of the event, so he was 48 years
40
old.
B.
Fighting his first ever Taekwondo competition, and I remember him coming off that mat. He loved it.
Yeah.
Loved it. He said, "I can't wait to come back here next year."
Yeah. Talking about
And that
yeah, talk about getting that rush and really
right.
equalizing your health benefits at the same time, right? Because
Hmm.
that healthy fear is good for the body, right? It is that
Right.
that shot of adrenaline then that you need to ensure that every joint, every ligament, every muscle in your
Hmm.
body is going to be operating in that fight or flight movement, right? So, and
Right.
if those that are hesitating, like you were mentioning earlier, don't don't hesitate. Don't be nervous about it. Now, again, you could be nervous, but don't be nervous about registering, right?
Hmm.
Because it's all broken down even deeper than what you see from the cadet, youth, juniors, senior level, right? It is broken down
Hmm.
into age categories that are even more tighter than you see that
Right.
on the others, right? So it may be 1 or 2 age difference, right? But even
Hmm.
still, there's also a breakdown in the weight division too, within your age
Correct.
category and the belt category. So there's a lot of
Hmm.
slices that go around, but then you end up fighting, like you said, he might have 3 fights, you might have 3 fights, or you might have
Right.
one. So consider the opportunity uh, that you're about to step out and share with that moment that it is never too late.
Right. Because then you have, the flip side. I brought up James Orsino, who is a beginner when it comes time to competition. But then you have some of my advanced guys that have made the team through winning gold at the Masters
Right.
Cup. You know, take for instance, my guy, your dancing partner, Chet Bridgewater. You know,
Yeah.
this is a guy who last year in the heavyweight division, he had 4
Yeah.
fights to win gold.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, went to go fight team. You know,
Yep.
find me an event in the world that a Masters competitor is going to get that much action, you
You're
know,
not going to
and
find any. I mean, you're not going to
you're
find.
not going to
This
find it.
event is
You're not going to find it.
catered just to ultra master level competitors, whether you're starting
Yeah.
out at white belt or a black belt, right? This is an event for you because this is about you. And what's awesome is that your family will be there to support. And what you'll also find out is that your family is about to grow when you be a part of this family.
Oh yes. Oh, it's a beautiful
Yeah.
family. You know, I wear this logo, you know, with such pride.
Yeah.
You know, I don't have a tattoo on my body yet, but let me tell you,
We have a few team members that do have tattoos on it.
oh yes, we do. You know, and one day I'm gonna grow that courage. We'll see if it happens or not.
Right.
I'm just gonna come home to the wife and be like,
Yeah,
surprise.
I totally don't mind branding my whole body, you know. But branding on my body, I don't have the courage quite yet, but maybe I'll
Yeah,
get there.
neither do I. Not do I. But the day that I do, you better believe that this logo designed by by our awesome captain, you know, is going to be on my body. Let me tell you,
Yeah.
it's really really a beautiful thing. You know, the USA Masters team, the and this event, the US Masters Cup. You know, and you brought up some interesting things about the team and interesting things about the cup. You know, in regards of potential sponsors. I say this all the time. You know, a lot of us are involved in the Taekwondo community, and there is a trickle down effect. As, let's say Taekwondo suppliers or, brands, they should want to sponsor, our organization and
Right.
our team only because from a business aspect, because we both are
Yeah.
businessmen, you know, they sponsor us. What do you think we're going to do for our schools?
Oh,
We're going to use their
all
product.
the time. All the time. I think all the people that we've been connected with, we're
So
using
that's
their
something,
products.
I definitely want to voice out there, to any potential sponsor, us as an organization, you should definitely take a look at us, because our goal, our mission, what we portray, what we put out into the Taekwondo and sports community, because we compete at international masters games, which are basically the way I see it. And I've had the pleasure and honor to compete in 2 of them. It's basically an Olympics for older athletes. There's no other way to put
It
it.
is. I mean, that's what the International Masters Association really calls it. It is the Olympics for athletes that are 33 years and over. And if you go, it is a multi-sport event. They shut down the city or the country just to host this event. I mean,
Right.
the marketing and the communication that goes out is phenomenal. But let me just kind of dial it back a little bit and really talk about, your donations really go a long way. We're not
Sure.
asking anybody to give until it hurts. We're just asking give until it feels good, because I can share with you like the goodness of your dollar is stretched to the max. It has helped some masters level that are really great, but they just don't have the finances to kind of make it. We subsidize some of that stuff. I was a happy recipient and a very honored recipient for the first scholarship, and I want to thank the
Yes.
the captain and also David DeWitt. I want to give a big shout out to him. Was able to kind of offer those scholarships in a sense to athletes that couldn't make their way, but they made a way. And your dollars that will go towards the U.S. Masters team. If you guys have a chance, just go to usamastersteam.org. There's a donate button on the left-hand side. Click on that button. Donate whatever, even if it's $1. It really goes a
Right.
long way to help all of our athletes. And if you really look at it, the cocktail party, the rentals from these amazing venues, for mats, the getting the trophies and the everything. It is
Everything.
all donated money. It is everything that we save. No money goes to any of us here. I think a lot of people, in this business world, it is kind of crooked. I understand that, but we
Right.
hold true to the tenets, and we use that money for good,
Yes.
and we give back. So if you think $150 or $160 is too much, you're paying $200 to go to other events. And what are you getting out
Right.
of it? You're not getting a
Right.
cool party afterwards that is fully catered,
Definitely not.
as well as drinks.
Definitely not.
You're not going to get the level of camaraderie towards the end. Everything is located
Definitely
in
not.
one location. You don't have to go
Right.
anywhere. And it's a
No.
beautiful location, I might add. So,
Mm-hmm.
but consider U.S. Masters team as a recipient of any donation that you may think about giving, especially as we get into tax season. It is a good tax write-off, and we will send you a letter, 501c3, and we thank you in advance for any donation that you guys can give towards us.
And it's a donation that is an investment, as we've spoken about, to live a healthy lifestyle, an amazing lifestyle that, in all honesty, you can't even put a dollar on.
No,
You can't put a value on something like that.
not at all.
And this is something that, again, with this podcast, with the message we're trying to portray, is we want to make positivity contagious. That's what we want. And us, before we are athletes, we are parents, we are family men, we are adults. This is something that's why I say, us as a masters community, we have such a responsibility. And it is our job, our mission to just pass this down to the future generations, because when this has to go on after me and you are
Yeah,
gone. This is the
what a
goal.
great time now to have our master's level type of athletes or wannabe athletes to practice what you preach in a very safe
Yes.
environment, right? And the level of support and resources that are available just within our organization that we can actually extend. We're only 1 degree away of knowing the answer to a question that you may have. That's the level of people that we have, because there's doctors that are on this team, right? There are professionals, there are VPs of banks, there are, pediatricians, there are lawyers, there are, I mean, the list goes on and on. There, we know an ER doctor, right? I mean, it's beyond what Taekwondo is, or owning even a Taekwondo school. This is about life and what we can pay forward through this avenue.
Right. No, it's such an amazing thing that, to be honest with you, it's beyond words. And for anyone teetering on that fence about stepping onto that mat or coming to this event, I really, really hope that, both myself and especially you have inspired them to make that step, because you won't know unless you step on that mat. You won't
No, yeah,
you won't know how it
yeah.
tastes, and it tastes
Let
great.
me tell you that it's more than Baskin Robbins, right? There's more flavors, if I may say, because
Yes.
but to make it more flavorful, let me go ahead and throw this out there. We're gonna go ahead and give 25% off registration. Okay, so we're
Ooh.
gonna have a coupon code that's gonna pop up right here, right? BBWOL25. We're gonna give 5 of those out tonight. If you're listening to the podcast, go to the website, register now. The first 5 to use this, you get 25% off of the full
Oh,
registration. So do that now if you want to do that.
oh,
So
that's a that's
there it
that's a
is right
big
there.
one. That's a big one right there. Black Belt Way of Life, BBWOL 25.
Let's
First 5 people only. Oh, that's a
let's
huge
do
one.
it. Let's do it. So I just
Let's
got a text
go.
from our captain. She says, "Let's go. Let's do it. All for the Black Belt Way of Life podcast."
There we go. We're spreading that positivity even further. Wow. You know, uh imparting, my man, my man. What I'm going to ask you a very important question.
Talk to me.
You've blessed us with, your life story. You know, Granted, a very small piece. You've blessed us with, your work ethic, where you came from, how to balance life. imparting on tonight's episode, drop us some wisdom on how not only, the U.S. Masters team, but you as a family man, how we have to live this black belt way of life and how to go about it. Give us some inspiration on that.
You know, there's a few things my mom always shared with me is that, no matter how tough life can get, there's always two things that no one can ever take away from you. Number one is your God. Number two is your education. Your education is more than just, the bachelor's or the master's or the doctorate degree that's hanging on your wall, right? The education is through physical, through tangible things that even connections with you and I, right, Master Lupo?
Yes.
The education that no one can ever take away from you. Even if my house burned down and my degrees are on the wall that goes up into ashes, that education is still with me. My
Hmm.
God is still going to
Can't
be
take it
with
away
me,
from us.
right? And
Can't
I
take it
think
away
that
from
that's
us.
very important to kind of go with, right? And when you kind of, you know, go with those thoughts, I think we're always so busy with life, and if we can just pause just for a moment, right, and just kind of recenter, um, you know, it can go a long way. I think, we live in a very materialistic world, and if we have to, always have something better, it's amazing why we will go broke to buy something to wear or to show off to people that don't
Hmm.
even like us.
Right.
That
Right.
those pair of Jordans or those pair of red bottoms. Um,
Right.
you know, I, for people that don't even care about us.
Right.
I think if we can just again live within our means and live
Hmm.
within faith, I think we can go a long way. And I think it goes back to you will never get what you want until you are grateful for the things that you have.
No, no, that's definitely some wisdom
Yeah,
right there. Because everything you're describing, that's not coming with us one day. But you know what?
yeah,
Our our knowledge, our memories, our
yeah,
camaraderie with each other, all those things, our faith, our you really really knocked it out the
yeah,
park. That is coming with
yeah.
us.
And
So
life isn't all peaches and roses. I know that there's a lot of turmoil, but let me leave you with this. If I had to leave you with anything, and I think Steve Harvey said this the best, right? We have a lot of friends, we have a lot of family, but you always have to tread carefully, right? And he said this.
yes.
He said this in one of his shows, his outtakes or what have you, where he has like a behind the scenes show. He goes, loyalty has an expiration date. I know that hurts,
Mm-hmm.
but loyalty has an expiration date. But I know when to renew my loyalty.
There you
I'm
go.
always gonna renew that with the Lupo family. I'm gonna let them know that I'm not too far away, right?
Right.
But unfortunately, for others, their loyalty for us has already been expired.
Right.
They can't use us no more, right? They're at that point where they can't use us no more. But again, please do not be blinded that loyalty is always going to be there. Loyalty always has an expiration date. So just tread lightly and just walk closely with the Lord.
That's a beautiful thing,
Yeah.
and this has been an amazing, inspirational night on so many, so many, so many levels. And Master Vincent Nguyen, it's been a pleasure. It's been an honor to have you here on the Black Belt Way of Life. And imparting, I like to give a shout out again to our sponsor tonight, Whispers of Wisdom by Master Anthony Graff. Go check it out on Amazon. Official sponsor of the U.S. Masters Cup. Again, tonight's episode is dedicated to the U.S. Masters Cup, January 17th to the 18th in Houston, Texas. Again, I'm going to come out and say it. We have participating all over the United States, Korea, Spain, Sweden, Mexico, Canada, the United Kingdom, Netherlands, and I won't be surprised if some more slip in,
Oh, they
before
will.
registration
Oh, they
ends.
will.
Oh, they will. Oh, for sure. An international event on many levels. It's an event you won't want to miss. Make sure you follow the USA Masters team on social media. Make sure you check out the website, usmastersteam.org. Again, click the events tab, and I will take you directly to the US Masters Cup. Master Vincent,
Yes.
imparting. I always share this with every episode that we do. As my father always said, your black belt is worn around your heart, never your waist. Make sure you subscribe, you like our YouTube page. Check us out wherever you consume your podcasts. Good night, everyone.
Salute.
A Black Belt Way of Life was produced by Press Record Studios.